The country that I chose for intercultural communication competence is Israel. Some basic information about Israel. Israel is located in the Middle East. It's located on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea, bordered by Lebanon to the north, Syria to the northeast, Jordan to the east, and Egypt to the southwest. The population of Israel is approximately 3.9 million as of January 2025. The type of government that Israel has is a democracy, much like what we have here in the United States. The government is based on democratic principles. They have a president as the head of state, much like in the US, and a prime minister as the head of government. The currency of Israel is called the New Israeli Shekel, which one US dollar equals about 3.5 New Israeli Shekels. The cultural comparisons between Israel and the US, individual versus collectivism. So both US and Israel tend to be more individual. So Israel is more individual compared to other countries in the Middle East. Israelis strongly emphasize independence and direct communication, but there's also a strong sense of Israeli community. This is especially in the context of Jewish identity and responsibility. The US is also largely individualistic rather than dependent, with a focus on autonomy and self expression. Israel is considered a low context culture, meaning the communication is direct and clear. Israeli people typically say exactly what they mean. The US can also be considered a low context culture, though there are some regional differences where more indirect communication styles may be used. For example, in the South, we use too big for his or her britches or tight as a tick. So the uncertainty and avoidance slash tolerance. Israelis generally exhibit a low level of uncertainty avoidance. They are relatively adaptable to uncertainty and change. The US tends to have a moderate level of uncertainty avoidance. Americans can be comfortable with change and innovation, though there are also preferences for rules and structure within certain areas. Israelis have a more egalitarian view of power, meaning that they believe everyone is equal. There is a tendency to challenge authority and hierarchy. This reflects on Israel's democratic views and direct communication. The US also has the same view, although there are more distinct levels of authority. In Israel, there is a balance of competition and cooperation. Israelis appreciate innovation and achievement, but also show solidarity. The US, on the other hand, is highly competitive, valuing individual success and achievement over solidarity. Israel tends to prioritize family and community more than career, where in comparison to the US, work often takes precedence over personal life. In Israel, weekends are spent with family and businesses are closed on Friday afternoons through Saturday afternoons for observation of the Jewish Sabbath. In Israel, people may arrive late to meetings or social events, and this is culturally accepted to some extent. Israelis are known for being very blunt and direct in their communications, which can come off as rude or aggressive to those more indirect cultures, such as the US. Some culture shock factors and ways to avoid anxiety. People can experience discomfort with the bluntness of Israelis. To avoid anxiety, try to approach in the same direction without taking offense or giving offense. Observing religious practices such as Shabbat or kosher food laws is very common among the Israelis. So researching and respecting these religious practices will help. Some unique traditions in Israel is Shabbat, which is most commonly known as Sabbath. It's from Friday evening to Saturday evening. Israelis observe Shabbat the rest of the day, a day of rest, family time, and religious observation. A little background. According to Genesis 2 1 through 3. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing, so he rested from all his work. God blessed the seventh day and made it a holy day because the day he rested from all his work he had done in creating the world. Passover is another Jewish holiday celebrating the exodus from Egypt and is marked by family gatherings, special meals, and religious rituals. Yom Kippur, also known as the Day of Atonement, is a solemn day observing fasting and praying, and many businesses closed in Israel during this time. Israel has approximately 10 major holidays and traditions. Most of these last anywhere from 1 to 8 days, depending on the significance. Some nonverbal behaviors unique to Israel are Israelis actually stand closer to each other during a conversation than people in the U.S., which can lead to someone from the U.S. feeling more uncomfortable because they're used to that personal space. Israelis use hand gestures very openly and more expressively than Americans. The common gesture that Israelis use is the V sign, which in Israel can be a casual, informal greeting rather than the peace sign. However, the casual greeting is shalom, which means peace, so it does make sense to use the V sign or the peace sign. In order to be culturally competent in Israel, you need to understand that direct communication is normal and avoid taking personal offense when people are blunt. Respecting religious customs, especially Shabbat, is also very helpful. Israelis may come off as more intense, but their communications are genuine and lasting. So becoming more culturally aware of these aspects will not only ease cultural shock, but also help with interactions during a visit to Israel.